You are tuning in to Fabulous and Fortunate, a Monáe's Musings production. Welcome back to another episode of Fabulous and Fortunate. I love it here. So honestly, I just want to get right into it. Today, we are going to be discussing themes such as romanticizing our lives, self-nurturing, being curious about our life, and honestly, I do want to tie it into the new moon in Gemini that we just had. I feel like I'm on this verge, and honestly have been on this verge of this self-nurturing, discovering my authentic self journey. So I believe that we are in the midst of a great collective awakening of this divine feminine power and the divine feminine role in our lives, right? This energy of pouring into ourselves in order to pour into the world around us. And self-soothing and romanticizing our lives actually have the same roots. Doing things that make us feel pleasure, doing things that make ourselves feel joy and express that joy through our habits, routines, and etc. that makes us feel good. Because when you feel good, it truly does change things. And I recently had a birthday about a little over a week ago now, almost 2 weeks now. And really, my main theme was myself. I wasn't worried about, who didn't do what I expected them to do, or who didn't tell me happy birthday, or I wasn't waiting for it to be ruined. I really spent the entire day just being so in love with myself. And I believe that I was able to do this because I developed this level of self-concept that exists in my own realm and space. And I do believe that I am able to do that because I do nurture myself. For the past 3 weeks, for the entire month of May, I've literally just been in this self-love oasis, just really exploring life. And I have been on a digital detox, right? So I have been less active on social media. And because of that, I have seen the difference. I'm like, wow, that green on that tree is so green. Or, even hearing the birds in a different way on my walks, or listening to things in a different way and having this new perspective on life because I have given myself these weeks of time to just simply be and exist, to experience pleasure, experience joy, and just be in my deep divine feminine. And a lot of that looks like, for me, resting, having my little rituals that I do when my life is calm, so that when my life isn't so calm, I can still go back to those same rituals. So in discussing self-nurturing and romanticizing life and curiosity, and why I do want to discuss this right now, is because as you drop back into yourself and as you come back home to yourself after your nervous system literally being burnt out from trying to be everything to everyone and doing everything except for taking care of yourself, it does feel like you are rediscovering yourself. You get this curious sort of so this is who I am when I'm not stressed. This is who I am when cortisol isn't running the show, right? You get back into this deep, sacred being of being held. And I think we've been taught to think that caring for ourselves is selfish, but it's actually sacred. It's ancestral. It's deeply intuitive. It's how we reclaim power in a world that literally profits off of us forgetting our worth. What if I actually gave myself what I deserve? What if I actually spent time doing things that purely brought me joy just for the sake of it? And honestly, this was the theme for me for the past 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks. I literally spent almost 4 weeks celebrating my birthday. And I think it's so radical that I did that, because I'm like, why limit it to just today? Why not just spend the entire month just basking in gratitude that I'm literally alive, that I literally get to spend my life doing fantastic things, and I get to spend my life discovering myself and being curious about myself. So these things, and as I talk about, self-discovery and curiosity, and even relating it to me taking 3 to 4 weeks to just rest and celebrate myself and literally just relax my mind, body, and spirit. It's so radical right now because rest is slowly getting out of our grip, right? We're living in a 25/8 news cycle world. So I feel like there are so many moments where we just pause and say it never stops. And you're right, it doesn't. It doesn't stop. There's this 25/8 news cycle, and we're constantly being fed things, right? Every single day we're being fed things. So I think it's even more radical when you decide, hey, what if I decide to actually just take care of myself and be like, I really can just live my life in a way that I'm discovering myself and being curious around the world, instead of just doing what I believe I should be doing, instead of being a people pleaser, or instead of putting other people's happiness above my own health. And it's such a varied conversation, but romanticizing our lives and self-nurturing and holding ourselves, it really all comes back to really just being curious and nurturing yourself in the deepest way possible. It's not just a cute ritual that you do when your life is calm, nurturing yourself. When you decide that you're truly tapping deeply into your divine feminine and you're like, I am truly going to be able to receive. I do want to be able to rest and not feel guilty about it. I do want to be able to hold my boundaries and not care how someone feels about it when I do that. Deciding to do that, that is the deeply wild divine feminine. And to me, divine femininity is not just being all soft and just soft spoken and just being obedient and just listening. No, divine feminine is knowing what you need at each moment and expressing your needs in a way that's not only graceful, but is honest and is being authentic. To me, that's being in your divine feminine, being able to receive in a way that's graceful. So, yes, now we're talking about the divine feminine, but honestly, it all ties together. So, I do have 3 romanticism tips that I do want to express. So, number 1, make our evenings sacred. Honestly, no matter what happens in my day, I still make the time to wind down with a nice routine every single night. And I get it. Some days are days we just want to plop on the bed and drift off to sleep until it's tomorrow. But making the effort to have a sacred night routine has a noticeable impact. So, number 2, drink water from your most beautiful and peculiar vessels. Bring out those wine glasses, those mason jars, those ceramic mugs, and yes, even those teapots. Let hydration feel like hydration of your spirit. Literally, one of my most favorite activities is looking in the kitchen and seeing what is the most outlandish thing that I can get away with drinking water out of right now. And it honestly has turned into such a fun game. But just like nourishing myself and nurturing myself, but also being creative while doing it and adding beauty to my life, is like knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone. And number 3 is seduce yourself every single time you go past a mirror. Catch your reflection, wink at her, address your posture like you're the main character at a rooftop party in your own rom-com. Being into yourself is so in, and it's so needed. Allowing yourself to be curious is one of the most beautiful gifts you can give yourself, because you're not confining yourself. You're really allowing yourself to grow in whatever direction is the best for you currently. Wow, what a beautiful conversation. I deeply love discussing loving ourselves and just taking care of ourselves and being able to self-soothe. And I think that's really the point that I wanted to get across today, is the self-soothing part. Because when we say, romanticizing our life and self-nourishment and nurturing, really what we're doing is soothing ourselves. When we, want to beautify our lives with beautiful linens or beautiful curtains or drinking our water out of a wine glass, we're doing these things to add more beauty and harmony to our lives, which then adds more clarity. So, as I wrap up this brief conversation, I really just wanted to hone in on the beauty of being curious and the beauty of learning what it is that you need at each moment of the day to be okay. And I related my birthday to this because I feel like your birthday is a time where a lot of people, whether unconsciously or not even thinking about it, allow other people to dictate how that day will go. But I'm like, this is like the one day out of the year where you get to do whatever you want and kind of get away with it. So why not spend it just being so deeply and madly and crazily in love with yourself, and being so deeply and madly in love with yourself that you're just giving yourself pleasure for long periods of time, which is what I've been doing for the past 3 weeks, which is honestly also why I have not uploaded an episode. But I do believe that that was needed for me. I needed to just take a few weeks and just be and just exist, because I feel that, especially on this podcast, as we talk about the thorn of the rose and we get into some really deep topics and conversations, I think a really important topic for us to have is self-honesty, self-clarity, and self-authenticity. Because it doesn't matter what we're putting online or telling others, are we giving ourselves what we need at each moment? Are we soothing the self in the ways that the self needs in each moment? And I think with this new moon in Gemini that we had even yesterday, is tying in perfectly to this period of self-discovery and reawakening, and saying that, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is your real life. And are you really living it in a way that's conducive to your growth, to your happiness, to your joy, and to your success? Curiosity is your compass. Softness is your strategy, and romanticism is your rebellion. Don't just nurture yourself. Worship yourself in the everyday moments. You are truly worth the effort, and you are allowed to enjoy your own company. Be curious. It's such a curious time. We're looking at the world with brand new eyes. What will you see? This has been Amayah Monáe with Monáe's Musings. And until we speak again, may your head and your heart speak with one voice. Peace.